shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come.
Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Here's today's prophecy update. It's the question on everyone's mind. Could conflict with North Korea lead to an all-out war? More specifically, could the present tensions trigger the sixth trumpet war foretold in the book of Revelation? We'll discover exactly what the Bible says on today's edition of End of the Age. Well, obviously, it's been much in the news over the weekend. We're sending our aircraft carriers along the coast of Korea. There have been threats and counter threats. The leader of North Korea had a huge parade demonstrating their huge arsenal of weaponry. It was very impressive. North Korea tried to send off a missile. It fizzled. There are rumors and counter rumors that perhaps the United States in some way sabotaged that missile. We simply don't know what that's all about. Nonetheless, since the Bible prophesies a war, and not just any war, but the worst war the world has ever known, we're going to read the prophecy about it in a little while. But I want you to get the feeling for what is going on right now. Now, we know that President Trump met with President Xi from China last week. His main goal in meeting with President Xi was to get China to lean on North Korea. We don't want to go in with any kind of a military strike unless we have to. President Trump said that if China would take care of things, we would not have to, and that would be the best thing to happen. There's no doubt about it. President Trump and President Xi spoke about this extensively during their rather lengthy meeting last Friday and Saturday. So let's find out a little bit about what happened when they were together. Now remember, the Bible prophesies a war that will kill 1/3 of the human race. It's hard to wrap our minds around that. We're talking about 2.5 billion people. The population of the earth has grown to 7.5 billion. So 1/3 of that would be 2.5 billion people that will be wiped out in this war according to the prophecy of the Bible. So let's see if we can get any insight into what went on between President Trump and President Xi, and also what else is happening with North Korea right now. This article is entitled, "China Threatens to Bomb North Korea's Nuclear Facilities If It Crosses Beijing's Bottom Line." This comes from Zero Hedge 4/11/17. With everyone putting down new and or revised red lines, be it on Syria or North Korea, it was now China's turn to reveal its red, or rather bottom line. And in a harshly worded editorial titled, "The United States must not choose a wrong direction to break the DPRK," and that would be the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the nuclear deadlock on Wednesday, Beijing warned it would attack North Korea's facilities producing nuclear bombs, effectively engaging in an act of war if North Korea crosses China's bottom line. Now, this is the first time we've ever heard anything out of China threatening toward North Korea, but here it is. The editorial in the military-focused Global Times tabloid, owned and operated by the Communist Party's People's Daily newspaper, said that North Korea's nuclear activities must not jeopardize northeastern China, and that if the North impacts China with its illicit nuclear test through either nuclear leakage or pollution, then China will respond with force. Of course, China and North Korea share quite an extensive border. Now, let me remind you before we go on. There was a war in Korea back in 1950, 1951. When the ceasefire was declared, half of North Korea, the northern half, was under communist control. The southern half was under Western control. So we've had North Korea and South Korea. There's a demilitarized zone, and the North Korean and South Koreans are very close together. I believe that the demilitarized zone is within 30 or 40 miles of the capital of South Korea, Seoul, South Korea. So this causes everything to be very close. The United States of America has been the principal defender of South Korea against North Korea, and we have many troops in there to this day. Now, let's continue on. China has a bottom line that it will protect at all cost. That is, the security and stability of Northeast China. If the bottom line is touched, China will employ all means available, including the military means, to strike back. By that time, it is not an issue of discussion whether China acquiesces in the U.S. blows, but the Chinese People's Liberation Army will launch attacks to DPRK nuclear facilities on its own. The editorial also explained the advantages to the world of a Chinese attack on North Korea's nuclear facilities. Listen to this carefully. This was new material to me. It noted China and the world know the locations of North Korea's nuclear facilities. Once the PLA attacks these nuclear sites, North Korea will permanently suspend its nuclear weapons programs. North Korea has limited resources of nuclear materials and is strictly blockaded in the outside world, erasing the possibility for DBRK to get the materials again. Now let's pause to remind us all of something else, because this has been festering for quite a while. It was some time back that the United States and North Korea were in a crisis. They finally settled that North Korea would renounce its nuclear weaponry program in return for us lifting sanctions and also for granting some financial assistance to North Korea. So we lifted the sanctions. I don't remember all of the details about the financial assistance, but it was considerable. And it looked like we had settled the problem once and for all, because no one wants North Korea to have nuclear weaponry. Their leaders are not trusted. It is a extreme communist dictatorship. So we thought we had the problem settled. However, North Korea did not abide by its agreement. It took our financial aid, and then soon it went back to the production of nuclear weapons. The next thing we knew, they had test fired several nuclear weapons. Lately, they have been testing missiles that would carry those nuclear weapons and even reach the United States of America. They already have missiles that can reach Japan and other nearby states. But now then, they're trying to get a missile that will reach the United States of America. President Trump has stated that will not be allowed. he is willing to go to war to prevent it if that is necessary. So that adds to this whole scenario, and that's the reason people are nervous. Now, President Trump said China is the power that is best situated to deal with the problems with North Korea because China is the largest trader with North Korea and also has provided a lot of the weaponry that North Korea now deploys. All right, let's continue on with the article. China also noted that nuclear weapons is DBRK's trump card for its defiance of China and the United States. Once this card is lost, it will become obedient immediately. So what's he saying? He's saying that if North Korea does not repair its ways and get out of the nuclear business, that we are able to denuclearize North Korea by attacking each of its nuclear sites. And he said, we all know where they are. So he says immediately after we take away their nuclear capability, they're going to become obedient immediately. They will have no choice. The article goes on to say the author then speculated rhetorically that if North Korea's nuclear facilities are destroyed, they will not even fight back, but probably block the news to fool its people, its domestic people. The DBRK will freak out if its nuclear facilities are destroyed. The report also said that the DBRK must not fall into the turmoil to send a large number of refugees. It is not allowed to have a government that is hostile against China on the other side of the Yalu River, and the U.S. military must not push forward its forces to the Yalu River. Now, the Yalu River separates China from North Korea. So they're saying we must not have a hostile force in North Korea on the other side of the Yalu River. And furthermore, if the United States would go to war against North Korea and then would drive their forces all the way to the Yalu River, we're not willing to live with that either. Continuing on, it notes that this sentence is meant for the United States because the premise of it is that the U.S. military has launched attacks to the DBRK. But what may be the most notable part of the op-ed is the mention in the Global Times editorial that North Korea will not allowed to have a government that is hostile against China on the other side of the Yalu River. This implies that if and when the U.S. initiates strikes on North Korea, the Chinese PLA, People's Liberation Army, will likely send out troops to lay the foundation for a favorable post-war situation. In other words, China may be just waiting for Trump to decapitate the North Korean regime to pounce and immediately fill the power vacuum. Now, in everything we're saying, President Trump has stated repeatedly that we do not want war. However, as Ronald Reagan before him, President Trump has stated the way to true peace is strength. We need a military so strong that no one will dare to challenge us. That's what the contention is. We've seen over the last 2 weeks, President Trump moved very decisively, first of all, against an air base in Syria, the air base that was used to launch chemical attacks against some of President Assad's people, which President Assad denies happened. He's claiming the U.S. Faked all this as an excuse to attack Syria. And nevertheless, we sent 60 Tomahawk missiles and wiped out an entire air base. We have the ability, if we wanted to wipe out all of President Bashar al-Assad's air bases, his complete air force, if we want to. We know we can do it. He knows we can do it. But we have let the signal go forth that we have no intention of doing that. We merely wanted to teach him that the use of chemical weapons was totally unacceptable, and if he does it again, there will be more serious ramifications. Now, the very next week, we go into Afghanistan with the biggest bomb we've ever dropped outside of the 2 nuclear weapons that were dropped during World War II on Japan. It's called the mother of all bombs, the Moab, they like to call it. But it was dropped, and it sent smoke 2 miles into the air, absolutely obliterates everything within 1 mile. It was dropped on the network of tunnels that ISIS used to escape and to hide as it is able to hit and run. Well, we lost one of our soldiers, and in retaliation, we dropped this bomb against ISIS. Now, what's behind this whole thing? President Trump said, I am going to destroy ISIS. That was his pledge repeatedly while he was running for president. Now he is president. He is moving to fulfill that pledge. The dropping of the Moab bomb was a notice to ISIS. We're not playing games here. We're not fighting no-win wars. Now you notice that we fought no-win wars ever since World War II. We fought to a draw in Korea. We fought to a draw in Vietnam. Actually, worse than a draw. We slumped out defeated because we let these wars drag on and on and on until the American people get sick of it, and then they start demonstrating in the streets to bring our troops home because it looks like there's no end in sight. Well, President Trump says, I'm not going to be doing that. If I fight, I'm fighting to win. And he is living up to what he's saying. We have information that we presently have 4 bases in Syria that we are refurbishing and making stronger. And then we are building a new base in Syria, just along the Euphrates River, 20 miles from Raqqa, which is the headquarters for ISIS in Syria. And that's being built at breakneck speed. According to the article I read, they're working on it day and night. So President Trump is focused mainly on ISIS. Now, he's concerned with North Korea, but he wants China to handle North Korea. And he says, if you will handle North Korea, we will give you favorable trading terms. He doesn't want to get involved there. He wants to focus on one thing at a time. He's not so focused on Syria. He's focused right now on ISIS. And he's planning on pushing this battle against ISIS far and fast. Now that brings us to our scripture, because we started with the question today, is it possible that the present conflict with North Korea is going to pull us into the 6th trumpet war? I've been asked that question repeatedly over the weekend. People want to know. Well, here's the answer straight from the Bible. The prophecy about the 6th trumpet war is found in Revelation 9, verse 13 through 15. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, and listen close, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the war that kills 1/3 of mankind, we call it the 6th trumpet war, we call it the Euphrates River War, we call it World War III. Whatever name you put onto it, this war that's going to kill 1/3 of mankind begins from the Euphrates River. Is North Korea near the Euphrates? No. Not even close. Is ISIS and its operations near the Euphrates? Absolutely. One of the first things they did back in 2014, when they were swiftly moving in to establish control in Syria and in northern Iraq, they focused on the Euphrates River. That's what they wanted to focus on. They wanted to capture the water source of the Middle East, and they did. They still have control of much of the Euphrates. The Bible says that's where this war is going to begin from. Now, I do not claim to fully understand how it's going to happen. All I can tell you is we are building a large air base very near the Euphrates right now, and we are fighting up and down the Euphrates every day. And that appears to me to be where World War III will begin, and that's where President Trump is focusing on. Now, could ISIS be defeated and everything cool off and all this go away? Yes, it could. But if it does, there's another war coming. However, understanding where we are prophetically right now and seeing all the other prophecies converging right now, it looks like now is the time for this war that's prophesied in Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 through 15. I read 13 through 15. The prophecy actually goes verse 13 through 21. Now, a lot of people have challenged and said, oh, you're trying to make too big of a deal of this war. When it says 1/3 of mankind, it doesn't mean 1/3 of mankind. And then it says in the next verse, verse 16, that the army that will be involved in this war is an army of 200 million. Now, I do know we had one of our callers trying to tell us that 200 million does not mean 200 million. And so I went to quite a number of different translations of the Bible. I went back to the original, to the interlinear, and the number is 200 million. That's the number of soldiers. There's never been an army of 200 million soldiers. You don't have a little war when you got the biggest army that the world has ever seen. The prophecy says 1/3 of mankind will be destroyed. It will start from the Euphrates River, and an army of 200 million will be involved. How all this comes together, I don't know. Will the U.S. be involved? I'm afraid we will, but the Bible does not explicitly state it. It's almost certain that ISIS is going to be involved, and it's almost certain that Islam is going to be involved, because every inch of the Euphrates is controlled by Islam. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, they're all heavily Islamic countries, all of them at least 90% Islamic. So that's where we are today, and we need to be aware of that. What could cause a flashpoint so that all of Islam would suddenly rally on the side of ISIS? I don't know the answer to that. There was an election held in Turkey yesterday, a vote, voting to give almost dictatorial powers to President Erdogan of Turkey. Turkey was the power of the Ottoman Empire up until World War I. President Erdogan wants that power back in his hands. Well, by a very slim majority, the Turkish people voted to give him those powers at this time. He sees himself as possibly the person to reign over a new Muslim caliphate. The turmoil up and down the Euphrates River seems to be unsolvable. So that's where we are right now. Now, add to this, I noticed one other small article from Debka File. This came out just yesterday. Russia reportedly moves weapons towards North Korean border. So we have China on the North Korean border. We have Russia on the North Korean border. Here's what it says. Russia has reportedly moved weapons towards Vladivostok, just 13 kilometers from the border with North Korea. 13 kilometers would be around 8 miles. Although unconfirmed by the Russian government, the movement of tanks and missiles was spotted by witnesses living in the border city and posted on social media. According to reports, the military convoy caught on camera included 8 surface-to-air missiles. Vladimir Putin already has a major Navy base in Vladivostok. So here we have Russia very close to the North Korean border with a naval base right there. Now they're moving missiles down toward the border. China, you heard all the statements being made by China in the article that we went through. The United States has its fleet of warships stationed off the coast of Korea, letting North Korea know we're not playing games. We didn't play games with Bashar al-Assad 2 weeks ago. We didn't play games with ISIS last week, and we're not playing games with you right now. Now, President Trump said if China does not take care of this problem with North Korea, then we will. And I heard one commentator who is in the Trump administration, not just a commentator, but a member of the security structure of the Trump administration, say that this would be solved by the end of the year. Interesting things. I want to tell you quickly, I'm about out of time, but this is the last day for our March into Savings. 7 great deals. Call our operators and ask them about. Some of them are quite steep discounts about things that you may like to have from End Time Ministries. The number to call, 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. Or go to endtime.com.
From Here to Armageddon, a new exciting 8-lesson series to share with your friends and family. Order yours right away.
Answering many questions like how far are we from the Battle of Armageddon? What will happen between now and then? Where are we on the timeline? Your questions answered in this exciting 8-lesson series, From Here to Armageddon.
Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-END-TIME. 1-800-363-8463. Order yours right away.
Today I have some exciting news to share with you. You can now become a magazine subscriber for life. You will receive first-class benefits that will include a lifetime membership to End Time Magazine, as well as an unlimited access to the digital version of the magazine. You will also receive 20% off of all future orders at endtime.com, well, at least till the rapture happens. Never worry about missing one important issue or forgetting to renew. You can rest assured when something happens in the news pertaining to Bible prophecy, you will be informed with the most recent cutting-edge material available. End Time Magazine has been the forefront of End Time Ministries since the beginning, and we would love to join with you in this first ever opportunity of becoming a magazine subscriber for life. Join today by calling 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archives button.
We will be taking your calls in this segment of the program. The number to be on the air with me, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. Let me slow down for just a moment, though, and tell you about these 7 great deals. And today is the last day, so listen closely. It will not come back. But they want me to tell you about it. They have put all this together. My staff has. And I hope they did the right thing, because some of these discounts are pretty deep. But maybe there's something on here you've been wanting to get, and perhaps you didn't feel like you quite could afford it. Well, here's your chance to save significant amounts of money. First of all, for a 2-year subscription, normally $29, $20.17 for 2 years. Deal number 2, 20% off of our Armageddon collection, normally $140, now $112. And then deal number 3, 20% off of our Understand the End Time series, normally $214, now $159.20, I believe. Well, anyway, that includes the companion workbooks. And deal number 4, 50% off of all digital downloads. Wow, that's a steep discount. Deal number 5, 10% off of our Islamic Invasion package, regularly $90, now $81. And then deal number 6, 20% off of the 6th semester End Time University DVD series, and you get free companion workbooks with this. Normally that's $595, now $476. So that's quite a reduction. And then deal number 7, 10% off of the 777 package. Regularly $777, now $699.30. So that's 7 great deals. If you didn't catch them all, don't hesitate to call our operators and have them read them back to you. I'm sure they have all of them in front of them right now. They could tell you about it. So don't delay, because today's the last day. If you miss it today, it's no more. They wanted me to make sure I told you that, and so now you have been told. Okay, now, like I said, we're taking your calls on the program today. The number to be on the air with me, 877 End Time. The number to reach our operators, 800 End Time. Interesting things that are going on. Mahmoud Abbas now is scheduled to go to the White House to meet with President Trump. He's going to be going on May the 3rd, and that's not very far from right now, 17 or so days. This comes from the Jerusalem Post just yesterday. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas will meet U.S. President Donald Trump on May the 3rd in Washington, D.C. Top Palestinian official Ahmad Majdalani said on Sunday. Now, this is very important. It's a very important visit in which we hope to agree on the fundamentals to revive the peace process and discuss bilateral relations, Majdalani told the Jerusalem Post in a phone call. Majdalani added that an advanced team, including Chief Palestinian Negotiator Saeb Erekat, the Palestinian Authority Intelligence Chief Majid Farai, and Abbas's economic advisor, Mohammed Mustafa, will arrive in the American capital in the coming days to meet with a number of officials in the Trump administration. They're coming as the advance team to prepare for the meeting. Majdalani said that the Palestinian leadership is hopeful that the Trump administrator's plans for renewing the peace process. I am optimistic, Majdalani said. Abbas is expected to visit a number of Arab and European countries ahead of his visit to Washington. Now, I want to make sure you understand what's going on here. When you see all of these activities, we already have many things happening in the Middle East. We have the personal envoy, Mr. Jason Greenblatt, that's been to the Middle East. He was the first high official of the United States to ever visit the Arab Summit. And that happened on March the 29th. It was at the Arab Summit that there was a lot of negotiations behind the scenes, trying to put together a coalition of Arab nations that would agree on a Middle East peace deal, including Israel and the Palestinians. They want to do this because they fear Iran, because Iran is getting stronger and is moving steadily toward becoming a nuclear power, and they feel threatened by this. Iran is a Shia Muslim country, and all of these other countries, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Egypt, and all the other countries, except for Israel, of course, are Sunni Arab, and they are bitter enemies one with the other. Saudi Arabia has been financing the rebellion against Bashar al-Assad. Iran has been in with troops defending Bashar al-Assad. So they actually have been in open conflict, one against the other. They fear that if, in fact, Iran remains as strong as they are right now, that it could threaten all of them and Iran could end up dominating the entire Middle East. That's what they're afraid of. So now then they have this chance to move toward an alliance with Israel and the United States of America. Of course, everybody wants to ally with the U.S. since we're the strongest military force on the planet. They see that as a place of safety, and President Trump understands these things very carefully. He is envisioning a regional agreement that would protect all of them, solve the problem between Israel and the Palestinians, and give Israel security. Now that's the big goal. There is going to be some kind of agreement according to the prophecies of the Bible, but it is not going to permanently solve Israel's problems. Many people will think it is the answer, and there will be Nobel Peace Prizes undoubtedly given for achieving this long sought after agreement. However, in truth, instead of being a peace agreement, it will be the Armageddon agreement. It will set the terms that will inevitably lead the world to the Battle of Armageddon 7 years later. I mean, this is going to be amazing, because when that agreement is signed, that will start the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon. And that 7 years is going to be packed absolutely full of prophetic fulfillment. You're going to live through it. I'm going to live through it. And President Trump is trying to accomplish it now. I think his goal is to get it done yet this year. If he is successful, then all of us will enter the final 7 years to Armageddon this year. Now, I said if, and don't forget that. I do not know whether he's going to get it done this year. Someone is going to get it done, either President Trump or someone else. Benjamin Netanyahu, the present Prime Minister of Israel, has stated that he thinks he will be the prime minister that will finally work a peace deal with the Palestinians. Trump says he would like to be the president that would get this deal done. That's the dynamic that's here. And president, or at least chairman of the Palestinians, is coming to Washington to sit down with President Trump on the 3rd of May, just 17 or so days from right now. So don't go to sleep at the wheel. I'm telling you, the Trump train has left the station, and he is a multitasker. He can deal with ISIS, he can deal with North Korea, and he can deal with the Middle East and the Palestinians all at the same time. President Trump has handled huge business deals. He knows how to have several balls in the air at the same time. So that's where we are right now. We're going to the phones now, and this is on Facebook. Natalie's not on the physical phone, but she has a question. Is Erdogan the Antichrist? No, he's not the Antichrist. How do I know? Because the Antichrist must come out of Europe. We know this because in the Bible there's a prophecy in Daniel chapter number 7, verse number 8, of a 10-horned beast. It says in the chapter, these horns are 10 kings. A beast in Bible prophecy always represents a nation or a kingdom. One beast, 10 kings. It's going to be a union, an alliance of kings, sort of like the European Common Market or the European Union today. There's going to be a 10-nation union soon emerge out of Europe. That's where the Antichrist is coming from. We know that because the Bible teaches that those 10 horns are going to be a rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire. The European Union is a rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire, and Turkey is not a part of it. So unless something really strange happened, like Turkey becoming a part of the European Union, which they would like to do, but they have been consistently rebuffed from becoming part of the European Union, unless all of that would change and he would become an integral part of the European Union, that I see no way that President Erdogan could be the Antichrist. He certainly would like to reassert, though, Islam in the world. And since this war is coming, it's going to wipe out 1/3 of mankind. It is very possible that Turkey would be a part of that war. So he's not an insignificant player, but I do not believe there's any way he can be the Antichrist himself. We are taking your calls. The number to call is 877-END-TIME. We have a lot of wide open spaces. So if you have tried to call before and been unable to get in, well, right now is your privileged time. And so consequently, just give us a call right now, or you can contact us through Facebook and we'll do our very best to answer your question. One other thing I thought you would be interested to know, we have just, as a matter of fact, we're not all the way through it yet, through the Jewish Passover. The Jews are celebrating Passover right now, and many of them have desired to go onto the Temple Mount where their first temple stood, their second temple stood. As a matter of fact, there have been, I believe I read one figure, over the weekend, 120,000 Jews visit the Temple Mount. If so, that probably set a record. They've been going there, but when they go there, they're not allowed to pray. They're not allowed to do anything. But some of them certainly wanted to try. Let me see if I can give you this one particular article that I found so interesting. It's entitled, 5 Arrested at the Entrance to the Temple Mount. Israeli police have arrested 5 Jewish men after a clash with police and Arab residents of the Old City. Israeli police said the men arrived at one of the entrances to the Temple Mount in order to pray and got into a fight with local residents. After police arrived, the men refused requests to leave the area and scuffled with the authorities. Here's the paragraph I wanted you to hear. Earlier this week, Israeli police arrested 17 people, including several minors, for allegedly attempting to smuggle baby goats onto the Temple Mount in an effort to reenact the ancient Passover sacrifice. 6 goats were handed over to Israel's agriculture minister. Ladies and gentlemen, this dispute over the Temple Mount is not going away. It is going to continue until finally it will be a part of a peace agreement. The Temple Mount is going to be placed under a sharing arrangement. Both Jew and Muslim will worship there. The Jews will build their temple there. It is moving straight towards what the prophecies say right now. The only question is how quickly we get there. That's a good reason for all of us to join together. If you're not yet a partner with End Time Ministries, become a partner right now. We are moving to prepare for all these things to come to fruition. 800 End Time is the number to call.
Join End Time Prophecy students in Jerusalem. Jerusalem Prophecy College. Study from the convenience of your own home through our online learning courses. Taught by Dr. Irvin Baxter. Learn about the prophecies of the Bible that will soon come to pass. Take advantage of this opportunity to learn valuable information. Save thousands of dollars by attending JPC online. Attend for only $50 per semester. Jerusalem Prophecy College offers 5 semesters. These courses include Understanding the End Time, Theology and End Time Christianity, Daniel commentaries, and Revelation commentaries 1 and 2. Each 16-week semester can be completed at your own pace. Enrollment ends May 5th.
So enroll today. Learn more about the times we are living in and how you can be prepared. Be sure to sign up right away at JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. One more time, don't forget, today is the last day of our march into saving 7 great deals. I'm not going to go through them all again for you, but there's 7 different things. Probably something you would like to have is on the list. Call our operators, 1-800-END-TIME. They'll tell you all about it. We're going to the phones now, and let's go to Mark, calling from right here in Texas. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Brother Irwin. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I know I've listened to your show some, and I know you mentioned how you believe America won't be part of the one world government, but that it will protect Israel. However, I know there's about 5 or 6 active movements within the U.S. that would sort of order more states break away from the Union, like California has an active movement, Texas has talked about it some, I think New Hampshire has one too. How would a potential breakup of the U.S. possibly play into that? And I'll hang up at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Well, to me, the only state that is seriously considering breaking off is California. And of course, California, they march to the beat of a different drummer out there. And I don't think that would hugely impact, although I don't expect that to happen either. Texas, don't think it's going to happen unless the government became so intrusive that Texas said we just got to get them out of our lives. Right now, that's not happening. Right now, Texas is very happy with the direction that America is moving. Nevertheless, I don't anticipate any states breaking off. If one did, it probably would be California. Other than that, the Bible depicts the United States of America as being strong in the end time. It depicts us as not a part of the one world government. And for people that would like to know all of the theology about that, we do have a DVD, America's God-Given Destiny. We show where the United States is in the Bible. We give you proof that we will not be a part of the one world government of the Antichrist. We also give you proof that we will protect Israel against the Antichrist, all during the Great Tribulation period. If you've not been through America's God-Given Destiny, I would make that mission number one. You should get your own DVD, and you can obtain it by calling 1-800-END-TIME. So no, I don't expect anybody to break off. If any state would, it would be California. Other than that, I do not anticipate that whatsoever, and probably not California either, because we're too close to the end. It would take time for all this to develop, and I just don't see us having that much time left. So I don't think that's going to happen. But America is going to be outside of the one world government, and we are going to defend Israel against the one world government. We demonstrate all that in America's God-Given Destiny. Let's go now to Indiana. Jim is calling from Indiana. Hello, Jim.
Hello. I was wondering, I always thought that China would be our enemy during the Sixth Trumpet War, but with things going on in Korea, it's looking like, is there a chance that China could be on our side in the Sixth Trumpet War?
I have a hard time believing that, Jim, because the conflict we have with China is much deeper than North Korea. China has been growing by leaps and bounds. They run a huge financial surplus. They have money to spend on armaments, and they are spending that money. China has stolen our patents. They have stolen our design for military equipment. And many people believe that the 21st century is going to be the Chinese century, that China will pass the United States of America. They have 1.3 billion people. We only have 315 million. That means they have 4 times as many people as we do. That's a lot of strength. And so consequently, many people believe China will end up surpassing the United States, and the 21st century will be the Chinese century. However, the United States does not want China to have the leadership of the world, a communist dictatorship leading the world. Are you kidding me? That's the last thing we want. Consequently, there's been a lot of talk in the news about us trying to thwart China's growth and block China from being the world power that they see themselves as becoming. Now, that kind of pressure is what the thing that wars are made out of. Do you want to face China now while we're still militarily superior, or would you like to face China 30 or 40 years from now when they are superior to us? That's the question that's being asked quietly in a lot of serious journals that are being published. And so I do not anticipate China being our ally. Right now, President Trump, of course, if you can be peaceful with any nation, you want to be. But This is simply concerning the North Korea situation as far as long term and dealing with geopolitical realities. I don't see any way that China and the United States end up being allies.
So you think they're going to take the big brunt of the losses in the Sixth Trumpet War?
I think that that's a very high possibility. The Bible does not explicitly prophesy that. All it tells us is that 1/3 of mankind will die. That means 2.5 billion people. Well, where do you find that many people? If the war were contained to the Middle East, there's not that many people in the Middle East. If it was contained to the Euphrates River area, not nearly enough people there. But if you go to China and India, now you're getting in the area where the massive populations live. China, 1.3 billion, India, 1.25 billion. Those two nations alone could supply the 2.5 billion that the Bible prophesies will perish. And that's the reason it looks like China or India or both could be involved in this war. However, there's another thing to notice. It is going to be an Islamic war because it starts from the Euphrates River. Islam is going to be greatly weakened by this war because when the dust clears, the center for world power is not Islamic. It swings to Europe and a rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire. Therefore, we see from that how the wind's going to blow, even though we may not be able to predict every detail at this time.
Thank you much.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jim. We appreciate it. Let's go now to Geo calling from Indiana. Hello, Geo.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, my question is, do you think the Antichrist is a group of people versus just being one person? And I'll take my answer off
Okay,
here.
sure will. Geo, I absolutely believe the Antichrist is one single person, but he will be supported by many people. The Bible says all the world will wonder after him, except for those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. But there is going to be a single Antichrist. The Bible tells us that when Jesus comes, he will put the Antichrist and his religious partner, the false prophet, into the lake of fire. That's Revelation chapter number 19, verse number 20. So consequently, I do believe that there is a single person called the Antichrist. Now, there are many people that have an Antichrist spirit. The Bible says in the book of John that there are many Antichrists. But then it says, but Antichrist singular must come. He said there are many Antichrists, plural. But then he said, but Antichrist singular must come. There is going to be a singular Antichrist. It's going to be a recreation of the Holy Roman Empire. In the Holy Roman Empire, there's always been two leaders, a political leader from Europe, a spiritual leader every time from Italy. Joining together, it's the Antichrist, the false prophet. That's the way it's going to be again. So yes, there's going to be a single person, the Antichrist. Let's go now to Pat calling from Texas. Hello, Pat.
Oh, hi, Irvin. I wonder if you know about a book called Magog, 1982 Canceled by David Allen Lewis, where the Israelis discovered this tunnel miles long in Sidon, is that Sidon, Lebanon? And it was over $2 billion worth of equipment down there and war things, you know. And I remember cans of coffee beans. They were prepared to be there a while, and maps of the whole world, including sea bottoms and everything, and how they were going to poison the water. And it took them 3 months to take it out. I think it happened because a guy, in the rest of the book, I think, he wrote about it, and he called it Operation Tea Kettle, because they took out all of that, and they sent it to the Contras in South America. It took them 3 months to see that. The Russians have this big drilling machine that they had steel reinforced tunnels, and it was big enough for tractor trailers to go in and out. For 3 months, it took them that long to get it all out. Have you heard of all that?
Pat, I have not heard of it. It sounds like a fascinating book, and the reason it's so fascinating to me is because it was 1981 and 82 that Israel invaded Lebanon. What had happened was the Palestinians were headquartered in Jordan, but they were causing King Hussein of Jordan so many problems, they threatened to overthrow his government. And so he made war against them. I think it was called Black September, and ended up driving the Palestinians out of Jordan. So they then went into Lebanon. And that's where they made their base, and they began to attack Israel from Lebanon for a while. I don't know whether them being there is related to these weapon caves or whatever they were. But nevertheless, Israel then moved in to wipe out the Palestinians from Lebanon, because they were continually attacking Israel from Lebanon. And Yasser Arafat was up there. He barely escaped with his life. He made it into a boat, and supposedly the Israeli soldiers had him in their gun sights, but the American government pressured them not to shoot for some reason, and he was able to escape. But nevertheless, Lebanon was a hotbed of everything back in 1980, 1981, 1982, and those two things may coincide together, even though I have not read the book.
I remember a lot of prophets were saying, the Lord's coming in 1985, and people, like Pat Robertson too, they were saying things, saying they're sure that Israel is going to invade, what I forgot. Anyway, Russia was going to invade Israel. And so I don't know how many people knew about it. I'm saying right now that we can learn the news easy these days. And if we pray, things happen.
Well, absolutely. We know there's some prophecies that are going to come to pass, and we know pretty much what they are now. We're getting so close to everything, but so interesting. I want to take one more phone call real quickly. I'm limited on time, but Sam, Lithuania, what's on your mind today, Sam?
Hello, Irvin Baxter. This is Sam from Lithuania. My wife and I have been following you here in Lithuania from actually YouTube. We never get a chance to catch your live show, so we're very blessed to do it tonight.
Thank you.
And basically my question is about things going on in the news now is with Jared Kushner and maybe kind of what your thoughts on him was.
Well, I have some concerns about him because he appears to be quite liberal. Some people think he's truly a Democrat. Other people think that his wife, Ivanka, is a Democrat. Ivanka is very, very close to her father, President Trump. And so I do not know for sure yet. I don't want to make any false accusations, but there are some people that are quite nervous about Jared Kushner. And as a family member, he's obviously in a very favored position in the administration. So I can't tell you for sure today. I am sure things will unfold later on. I think your question is a very valid question, and hopefully we can have some better information for you later on. Got to let you go. We're out of time. You've been listening to End of the Age. Give us a call. 800-END-TIME is the number to reach our operators.
End of the Age is a production of End Time Ministries. This broadcast will be available on our website, endtime.com, in the archives section. On our website, you'll also find more information about how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. To reach our operators, call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. End Time Ministries is partner supported. We would like to say thank you to our partners who made this broadcast possible. To do what Matthew 24:14 said, to reach the world with the gospel of the kingdom.